Now you start to say to yourself, 25-year-old superstar, they get rid of him in the middle of the night without telling his representation, without telling him something else is going on. And what I love about the internet is you hear all the conspiracy theories. So let me address one conspiracy theory that I was a part of. He's out of shape.
If this were Mark Cuban still owning a majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks,
that wouldn't happen.
There is no way that Luka Dončić would be out of Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's no longer the majority owner, and that belongs in the hands of the Adelson family, they weren't having it.
Dallas lost faith in their franchise centerpiece? Or was there a hidden motive fueling the move? Then Shaquille O'Neal, one of the sport's most outspoken legends, dropped his own scorching take, blasting the Mavericks front office and setting off a new wave of controversy. In a league dominated by superstar relationships and marketing deals, Shaq's perspective cut right to the heart of the matter. He not only questioned the Mavericks' decision to blindside Luka, but also hinted at a deeper plan that might connect gambling interests, sneaker politics, and backroom power plays. It left fans and Luka himself absolutely stunned. Was this blockbuster trade all about rebuilding, or did it mask an entirely different game being played behind the scenes? When Shaquille O'Neal first aired his blunt critique of the Mavericks' decision, he ignited a debate that extends far beyond one player's roster status. This isn't just about Luka Dončić moving to another city, it's about what the Mavericks' new ownership might truly value, how massive brand deals and gambling interests could reshape an NBA franchise, and why top-tier stars can find themselves traded without so much as a heads up. Shaq's words highlighted the deeper tension. Was this a basketball call or a financial power move disguised as one? At this point, the only certainty is that we're witnessing a turning point, both for Luka and for the league as a whole. If Dallas has, indeed, made a colossal error, it may haunt them for years. Then again, if these behind-the-scenes maneuvers pay off and usher in a new era of profits and competitive balance, the rest of the NBA might scramble to follow suit. As for Luka, his next chapter has already begun, and it could reshape not just his legacy, but the fortunes of any franchise bold or reckless enough to roll the dice on generational talent. One thing's for sure, with Shaq setting the tone, everyone is left speechless, and the real story may only be starting to unfold. The abrupt severing of a young superstar from his team has ramifications beyond Dallas. Will other franchises now consider trading cornerstones if the deal makes sense on paper? Is loyalty in the NBA, a league where stars usually wield immense power, starting to erode? Observers wonder if the Mavs' approach might embolden owners to act more aggressively, or instead caution them against alienating a devoted fan base. Meanwhile, rival teams are seizing the moment. If the Mavs spiral in the aftermath, that opens opportunities for other squads to climb higher in the Western Conference. Free agents too might think twice before signing with a franchise that can discard its biggest asset without warning. Alternatively, if this radical move somehow catapults Dallas into a brighter future, whether through political leverage, brand deals, or roster reconstruction, other owners could start mimicking the Adon's bold tactics. Through all the speculation and finger-pointing, the biggest question remains: how is Luka himself processing this? One day he's the king of Dallas basketball, a global phenomenon with a highlight reel that never seems to end. The next, he's scrambling to find a new home, a new system, and a new routine, while dealing with the emotional fallout of being blindsided by the team he carried on his back. Rumors swirled that he had minimal say in where he ended up, further fueling the notion that he was a mere chess piece in someone else's game. Still, being thrust into unfamiliar territory might spark Luka to reach even greater heights. Some analysts argue a new environment could refine his defense and off-court conditioning, or allow him to thrive under a coach who tweaks his playmaking responsibilities. If there's a silver lining, it's that stars of Luka's caliber often transform adversity into brilliance. Whether he emerges stronger or remains haunted by the betrayal is a storyline basketball fans won't stop watching anytime soon. Through all the speculation and finger-pointing, the biggest question remains: how is Luka himself processing this? One day he's the king of Dallas basketball, a global phenomenon with a highlight reel that never seems to end. The next, he's scrambling to find a new home, a new system, and a new routine, while dealing with the emotional fallout of being blindsided by the team he carried on his back. Rumors swirled that he had minimal say in where he ended up, further fueling the notion that he was a mere chess piece in someone else's game. Still, being thrust into unfamiliar territory might spark Luka to reach even greater heights. Some analysts argue a new environment could refine his defense and off-court conditioning, or allow him to thrive under a coach who tweaks his playmaking responsibilities. If there's a silver lining, it's that stars of Luka's caliber often transform adversity into brilliance. Whether he emerges stronger or remains haunted by the betrayal is a storyline basketball fans won't stop watching anytime soon. While many questioned the Mavs' secretive approach, Carmelo Anthony had a different take. Melo commended the stealth behind the deal, viewing it as a rare moment in modern sports where major negotiations remained airtight until the official announcement. For him, it signaled a level of professionalism and trust among high-level decision makers, an old-school method of handling business without leaks and distractions. But his praise wasn't echoed by everyone. A large portion of fans and even some players felt Dallas owed Luka more transparency. How do you justify dropping a franchise star with zero forewarning? Even if it was a masterclass in confidential negotiations, it also risked alienating the very talent that had revived the Mavs brand. In one sense, Melo admired the strategic purity of it all. In another, the public saw it as a disregard for basic respect and loyalty. The next layer of intrigue comes from theories involving athletic brands. Kevin Garnett and others spotlighted how Nike's influence can shape player movement, especially given the deep connections Mavericks GM Nico Harrison has from his time at Nike. Luka is famously signed with Jordan Brand, another giant in the sports apparel world, while players like Anthony Davis are firmly in Nike's camp. Could the pressure or incentives from these corporations have nudged Dallas toward a blockbuster move? It's not as outlandish as it might sound. Revenue streams from endorsements can rival or surpass an NBA salary, influencing everything from a player's team preference to marketing campaigns in specific cities. If brand-centric politics are part of the puzzle, it wouldn't be the first time big business steered an NBA deal. Add that to the swirling rumors of new ownership wanting to reshape the franchise's identity, and you begin to see how Luka, despite his generational talent, might be viewed as someone whose contract, image, or partnerships didn't perfectly align with a grander plan. While sneaker deals and superstar egos often dominate NBA headlines, one theory stands out as particularly audacious: the Adon family's alleged gamble on legalizing sports betting in Texas. As heavyweights in the casino and gambling industry, the Adons have long eyed the Lone Star State, a massive market where sports fandom runs deep, but gambling laws remain strict. What if moving Luka was a political chess move designed to attract media scrutiny and pressure local lawmakers? According to some local podcasters, the Adons could be playing a high-stakes game in which the team's standing or even its location become bargaining chips for gambling legislation. The notion sounds wild, but when you consider how deeply the Adons are tied to casino operations, suddenly it's not so far-fetched. By rattling fans and legislators with a colossal trade, they might be positioning themselves to extract concessions or pave the way for future business ventures. It's a strategy that's either brilliantly calculated or shamelessly manipulative, depending on your point of view. To understand the bigger picture, look no further than the Mavericks' new ownership arrangement. Mark Cuban, long known for his courtside antics and willingness to invest heavily in star players, sold a controlling stake in the franchise to the Adon family. Fans assumed a fresh influx of capital would ignite renewed ambition, especially with a superstar like Luka in his prime. But beneath the surface, rumors of internal conflict began to surface. Was Luka's style or brand presence overshadowing the new owner's broader plans? Insiders hinted at friction between Luka's camp and certain key executives, possibly over how the roster was being built, or even how negotiations for his next massive contract would unfold. On paper, none of these reasons justified cutting ties with a player many believed would define the NBA's future. Yet the more details leaked out, the clearer it became that the motives behind this trade likely went beyond typical basketball strategy. Dallas fans wasted no time expressing their fury. Emotional rants lit up Twitter and Instagram, with distraught supporters asking how the Mavericks could ship out their best player without so much as a warning. Overnight, the team's identity seemed to wither. For many, Luka wasn't just a phenomenal basketball talent. He was the heir to a legacy begun by Dirk, a beacon of hope that the Mavs would remain competitive for the next decade. Analysts quickly chimed in, with some condemning the front office for overthinking itself into a catastrophic move. Why, they wondered, would any franchise gamble away someone who could lead them to multiple deep playoff runs? The real kicker was the hush surrounding the decision. No leaks, no public contract disputes, no hints at discontent, just a hammer dropping out of nowhere. It propelled fans and pundits alike to question if this was a standard basketball decision or part of an elaborate ruse with far bigger stakes. Typically, NBA trades leak via cryptic tweets or late-night insider reports, allowing fans to brace themselves days or even weeks in advance. Not this time. One moment, social media was quiet. The next, it exploded with news of Luka Dončić's exit. Longtime Mavericks faithful, who grew up watching Dirk Nowitzki and believed Luka was poised to be the franchise's next statue-worthy icon, were in open revolt. A generational star about to enter his prime, traded on a whim. It bordered on the unthinkable. While front offices seldom consult fans when making big moves, this trade felt especially brazen. Reports indicate the negotiations were handled with an almost military level of secrecy, leaving even some high-level employees scrambling for details. For an organization that once prided itself on transparency, at least when Mark Cuban was the majority owner, the hush-hush manner of Luka's departure felt like a betrayal of trust. It was no longer just about losing a superstar, it was about losing faith in how the team was run. Shaquille O'Neal's reaction to Luka's abrupt departure shook up the conversation. While most analysts hammered Dallas for trading a once-in-a-generation talent, Shaq went further by pinpointing the manner in which the Mavs handled the process. He called out the organization for pulling the rug out from underneath a young superstar who should have, at minimum, been consulted before his fate was decided. In classic Shaq style, he pulled no punches. His opinion carried a fearless weight that cast doubt on the Mavericks' entire front office strategy. Oddly enough, Shaq also floated the possibility that Dallas might somehow benefit in the short run, a statement that left both fans and fellow commentators scratching their heads. How can a team possibly win immediately after losing a top 5 offensive catalyst? Even if the Mavs gained solid players or future picks, the sheer magnitude of Luka's talent makes the trade look baffling at best. Luka's own reaction, based on insider reports, was just as speechless. He appeared blindsided and left in the dark until moments before the deal became official.